Welcome back. Our conversations continue here in Davos, and joining me now is Abhijit Dubey. He is the chief at NTT. Thanks very much for joining us. And it's been, what, 6 months heading NTT, and you're the first non-Japanese CEO of the company. So what's the story been like so far?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Story's been great. I mean, I think if you think about the NTT group, it's a $100 billion plus conglomerate. And, they started their global expansion journey back in 2007. And I was at McKinsey & Company before, and had the privilege of working with them on architecting the global expansion. And when I started working with them in 2011, it was $1 billion outside of Japan, and today we're about 19. Now, so we've acquired a lot of companies over the years. Yeah. Now we've consolidated all of them and merged all of them into one single global company, which now I have the privilege to run over the last 6 months. So it's been a fantastic journey. I think it's been a journey of firsts. We're probably the only company in the world that has physical infrastructure and IT services.
Yes.
Probably the only example of a Japanese conglomerate building an at-scale enterprise services business outside of Japan. And frankly, the only example of a telco, because NTT is actually a telco, building a successful IT services business. Many have tried, many have failed. So it's been a privilege to be part of that.
Well, yes, and many firsts, as you pointed out there. But when I talk to tech company CEOs in Davos, the mood certainly seems to suggest that there is optimism, there's confidence that this is likely to be a better year, that we're probably even getting back to double-digit industry growth rates. What's the expectation that you have?
I think it's pretty similar. I would say we already started seeing an uptick the last 6 months. What we had seen, of course, when the macroeconomic slowdown happened because of the interest rate environment, is the discretionary spend just went away, right? But what we have seen over the last 9 months is the large-scale transformational deals are back in the market, and the discretionary spend is starting to come back. Not at the level that we have been accustomed to in the past, but it is definitely coming back. And I think while there's a lot of things uncertain with from a geopolitical and other standpoint, there is a general sense of optimism that things will be better.
Yeah, well, speaking of things getting better, which of the markets that at this point in time are better poised or better positioned to your mind?
In terms of geographies?
Yes.
I think the reality is the U.S. is always the largest market, but more importantly, it's the highest growth market.
Yes.
That is something that is not sometimes understood very well. So if you think about the growth over the next 3 years, more than half of that growth is going to come from the U.S. So, for all of us in the tech industry, the U.S. as an end market really, really matters. So, there's a general sense of optimism that will be positive. And then beyond the U.S., the other two markets that are really big contributors tend to be UK and Germany. I think the jury is out.
Yeah, because Germany is facing its own political as well as economic challenges today.
Yeah, so the jury is out on where they will be. But then there are pockets of growth in many other geographies, right? So if you think about the Middle East, it continues to go strong. If you think about the post-election Southeast Asia, it continues to be strong. And of course, India has been strong, and we think it will continue to be strong. And we have a very strong starting point there, so we're pretty bullish on India as well. And then we've got businesses in Africa as well, in South Africa and Kenya, et cetera. So, and then Latin America. So, the good thing about us is, we're a lot more diversified than our industry is in terms of our mix.
So let's talk about India, because you said you're bullish on India, and it's a strong starting point. So what is the ambition? What's the aspiration for India? What's the plan?
Well, first of all, we've been in India for decades. And the way I would characterize our India business is in 4 different pillars. So number one, we are in the internet infrastructure, digital infrastructure business, so data centers, et cetera. And we've just landed our first submarine cable in Chennai and Mumbai. Our data center business, since 2011, we've invested $3 billion plus into India, right? So, we think with AI especially, that demand profile is going to continue to grow, and we are, planning to continue to invest in that space.
How much more are you likely to invest, given the fact that, with the opportunity, but also with data localization requirements, we are going to have to see more infrastructure being set up?
Absolutely. We've already committed another $500 million. So those are projects that are being worked on right now. So we will see that capacity come online. We have about 300 megawatts of capacity already operational. There's another 275 that's going to come online relatively quickly. And that's across, 5 different markets. So and we continue to explore tier 2 markets as well. So that part, with AI and especially data localization, sovereign cloud, et cetera, we think there's tremendous growth potential. On the IT services side, we obviously have been in India serving private sector and some public sector clients in India for many, many years. We've got about 3,000 plus clients actually in India. And the private sector is actually professionalizing pretty rapidly, and they don't have legacy to deal with, which means that they can leapfrog to the new technology paradigms much faster and in a much more agile way. So we think that's poised well. Then we also have India as a delivery and innovation hub for all of our global clients. So we've got about 30,000 colleagues who serve global clients from a delivery standpoint as well as innovation standpoint. India is one of our centers of excellence as it comes to AI, digital twins, et cetera. And then lastly, we also have a payments business in India. So we've got 4 different pillars to the business. India is definitely in the top 10 today, revenue generating for us. We have aspirations to be top 5 pretty quickly.
What does pretty quickly mean?
I don't want to set budget targets for my teams, but let's say in the next 3 years for sure.
In the next 3 years. Well, that's a pretty specific timeline that you've left us with. But since we're talking about AI, and that's what everybody here is talking about, it's either Trump or it's AI. But take us through what you've been able to do at your end, but more importantly, as you look at the opportunities that are opening up and what your clients ask of you, what is the strategy going to be?
Yeah, so let me start with a few macro comments. I lived in Silicon Valley through the internet boom. Right. When internet started, the dot-com boom started, I saw the bust as well, of course. And I lived there for 20 plus years. So I've seen all the technology revolutions come through in the last 2 decades plus. And I truly believe that AI in its current form and future form is going to be bigger than the internet. As with all technologies, I think we massively overestimate the adoption and impact in the short term, and massively underestimate it in the long term, right? But I think generally speaking, in every technology cycle, there is a cycle time between those 2 things. And the cycle time between this massive overestimation short term, underestimation long term is going to be much shorter as it relates to AI. So that's sort of a macro comment, if you may. In terms of what we have seen with our clients and the work we are doing, I would say we've moved on from mass experimentation. Okay. So the playtime is over. Right.
The work time has started.
The work time has started. So, but today it's very much centered around more horizontal use cases. So software development, content creation, chatbots, personal assistants, those kinds of use cases. And even if in business processes, it's much more around document-intensive business processes, so intelligent document management as an example. I think 2025 is going to be the year when agentic AI truly arrives. And that's when we're going to start seeing AI truly being deployed in the core operations of a company, which we haven't really seen at scale to now, right? So for instance, if you're a telco company deploying agentic AI on your network operations, core network operations, if you're in manufacturing company in the core supply chain, or in the factory, as an example, right? So those things, hopefully in 2025 we'll start seeing at scale. But it's not about the technology. For true transformation and true value realization, there's much more than technology. It's about your workforce readiness, because it's a different way to work. It's about your data readiness, because a lot of times that's the biggest challenge that we see in our clients. So a lot of other things have to get solved, and legacy is a huge issue, right? So a lot of other things have to get solved to truly get the value from AI.
Well, yes, I would imagine that you need to ensure that the roads are in place before you can actually take the car out for a spin, and that's what's happening at this point in time. But finally, what's the headline for 2025?
It's about agentic AI.
And that's what you believe that it is going to be the chat GPT moment for agentic AI in 2025?
Absolutely. I truly believe that.
Abhijit, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much. We wish you the very best of luck and look forward to seeing you in India. Thanks so much for joining us here in Davos. We're going to take a break here, but the conversations will continue. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment with more.